This is obviously being shot on webcam, so I'm sure y'all realize this is not the best sound or video quality in the world. This is an answer video. I asked the question on my Facebook account. I said, think I will do a questions video for TJ Does Life, but let my Facebook friends ask the questions. You guys have until however long it takes me to eat a bowl of cereal. And of course the first question is, what cereal are you eating? That was sent in by Sid Paludugu. I don't know. Well, I'm obviously not eating any cereal now. I said I was going to answer after I ate the cereal, which means that I'm no longer eating cereal. So currently, nothing. But if you've been intelligent enough to ask me what cereal I had eaten, then the answer would be honey bunches of oats with peaches, which are really not peaches. I mean, they are, but they're, what's the word? Freeze-dried? I think that's the proper term. Yeah, they're freeze-dried. So they're crunchy peaches, which kind of defeats the purpose of being a peach. It doesn't even really have the same flavor, because part of what makes a peach taste like a peach is the juice, and if you freeze-dry something, it no longer has juice. It has the wrong texture, it has the wrong consistency, which is really the same thing as texture, so I'm repeating myself, but, you know, it doesn't taste like a fucking peach. But it is, technically, so, yeah, with peaches. They should say with dried peach chunks, maybe, would be a better term, but I guess that would not sell as many units, so... Yeah, maybe not the best marketing strategy, but they say honesty is the best policy, but I don't know. Maybe in this instance, a little white lie is okay. And then Nicholas Macy, proving himself to be an individual of incomprehensible individuality and originality, asked, what cereal is it? So yeah, thank you for not looking at what someone else had just written literally seconds ago. Then Paul Madariaga. You people need easier last names. Paul Madariaga, I hope, asked, what would your ideal utopia be? Ideal utopia. I think the ideal utopia would be, I mean, maybe my version of utopia is not as wonderful and fancy as other people's. Because I know a lot of people, they want, you know, oh, all people would be equal and everyone would be happy all the time and rainbows and hand-holding and, you know, maybe if you're like a lecherous guy, big tits and, you know, non-stop pussy, whatever. Or if you're some crazy feminist bitch, you'd probably talk about the end of the patriarchy and both genders are equal, or maybe women are now the superior sex. I don't know. You know, so everyone has this utopian ideal that really matches with their values. You know, you ask a person what their perfect world is. It's kind of like asking them what they think the future will be. I find that if you ask someone what they think the future is going to hold, the future that they tell you about is really an exaggeration of their view of the present. Because, you know, if you view modern society as too capitalistic, too greedy, then your idea of a future society will be even more capitalistic and even more greedy. If you like the future in Robocop, if you view the world today as being goofy and you know, and you view everyone around you as stupid, then in the future people are even more stupid. That's idiocracy. If you view you know, and look at Back to the Future 2, when Marty goes to the future. That future, that 2015, I think the year was, was really not the 2015 that we're going to experience. It's not even close. What it really is an exaggeration of the 80s. They looked around at their world and they said, yeah, these trends are going to continue uninhibited forever. So really, when you ask them what their view of the future is, it really tells you what their view of the present is. When you ask someone, though, what their utopia is, they'll tell you something that reflects their own values, the way that they wish the world was. But my utopia isn't a world that reflects my values. I try to remove myself from that sort of thinking. My utopia is just a world where everything is the same as it is now, except consistent. So, quite different in at least that one respect. But instead of having all these weird arbitrary ideas, people are consistent in their application of their moral codes, of their intellectual credos, whatever. If you're a Marxist, you live like a Marxist. If you're an anarchist, you live like an anarchist. If you're a capitalist, you live like a capitalist. If you're a fundamentalist Christian, you follow every fucking word in the Bible. You don't just pick and choose. I just want a world where there is no compromise, where people don't lie about what they believe, where people basically practice what they preach, or at least preach what they practice. Because I think that world would actually have some hope of salvation, unlike our present world. And then Blake Gallagher, finally a person with a reasonable last name. Well, Nicholas Macy had a reasonable last name, but a stupid fucking question. A repeat of a question, honestly. Actually. Blake Gallagher, if you could live in any time period, which would you choose? I don't know why my glasses are so dirty. I'm going to lick them. That's not a recommendable way to clean your glasses, but it'll do in a tight spot. So the question is, if I could live in any time period, which time period would I occupy? I don't think I could live in any other time period. I'm too spoiled by the technological wonders of this time period. Maybe I'd want to live in some future time period, but I don't know, because remember the future question that I was referencing earlier. People view the future based on how they view the present. And I view the present as being negative in a lot of ways, and I think those negative things will be compounded in the future. But I'm probably wrong, because most people, when they predict the future, are wrong. And it's really weird to see who gets it right. Because, if I lived in 1970, let's say I lived in 1980, whatever year Robocop came out. If I lived in that year, and I saw Robocop that year, and I had seen 2001: A Space Odyssey a number of years before, and someone asked me which movie I thought was going to more accurately reflect the future, I probably would have said 2001. I would have said, oh, definitely 2001. That's definitely the more realistic of the two films. But I'd have been wrong, because almost everything that not almost everything, every single thing that Robocop predicted would happen has happened. We have our machines doing the jobs of human beings. Sure. Did they look like cool-ass cyborgs? No. But, we've got, I don't know what they're called, drone planes, I think it is. Unmanned aircraft that go over Afghanistan and Iraq and bomb people, and then, return home and feel they have no conscience about it whatsoever, therefore squeezing all of the humanity out of war, at least from the oppressor's perspective, and and only leaving the victim's grief, no longer the oppressor's moments of remorse. So we got that. And the main thing in Robocop, I don't know if many of you remember this, is that everything was privatized. Prisons were privatized, police forces were privatized, fire departments were privatized. Things that were thought of as public non-profits back in the 80s were, in this movie, privatized. And this was meant to be a horrible dystopia. And that's the world we live in now. We live in the most nightmarish hellscape that the creators of Robocop could fathom. So watching that movie now is extremely depressing. And who would have thought fucking Robocop that was going to be our future? If you'd have told people that when that movie came out, they would have laughed at you. But you look at it now, and it's impossible to ignore that this movie was prophetic. Anyway, if I could live in any time period, I'd choose this one. Why yearn for the past or the future? We live in the present, and all time periods are just a never-ending succession of present moments. Everyone who has ever lived has lived in the present. The past was never the past to the people who lived there. It was the present, and the future will be the present for the people who live in the future, which hopefully will include you and me, at least for a little while. What do you think of vigilante justice? That's Jeff Thurkelson asking me this question. Vigilante justice. I don't believe in justice, and I don't understand the concept, because let's look at Jeffrey Dahmer, right? How many people did he kill? 15, I think. 15 people dead. It was more than one. And how many times did he die? He was beaten to death in jail. That was an act of vigilante justice. So, did that right the wrongs? Did those victims come back to life? Did those families stop grieving for their lost loved ones? Did anything get better in any measurable way? No. We're a stupid species, and we believe that we can fix wrongs by punishing those who wronged us. And I'm as guilty of this thinking as anyone else, but intellectually I realize that it's faulty. There's no justice. The world is unfair, and there's no way you can balance out the equation. We're powerless in this regard. Maybe one day, when we can bring the dead back to life, and we can figure out what's wrong with certain people and fix them, although that kind of in itself scares the shit out of me. But maybe if we were responsible with it, like we've never been responsible with anything else, maybe in that world justice is at least possible. But in the world that we occupy now, it's not. But if you're going to talk about vigilante justice versus justice doled out by the courts, then I would say vigilante justice is actually more admirable, because this is a matter of one person looking at the world and declaring this isn't right and doing something about it. Whereas, and that person is deluded. They're an idiot. You can't go out and be Batman. It's just, it doesn't work in real life. But, at least that you can have some sympathy for that person. But when an institution thinks that it can bring justice and order, when a group of people sit down and rationally say to one another, let us rain our order down on society. What they're really saying is let's make society the way that we want it to be. And that's really the big problem with justice, too, is that really it's about how you decide the world should be. And who has the right to decide that? What one person or what group of people really gets to sit down and say, well, this is how I think the world ought to be? I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as a viable, concept. Tom Overton asks, are you particularly opposed to smoking? I'm not a smoker. I occasionally smoke a cigar. But, hold on, I'm going to sit up a little straighter here. Hopefully I'm still in the view of the camera. Let me just check really quickly. Yeah, I'm way in the view. So yeah, smoker. I'm not a smoker. I smoke a cigar every once in a while, every blue moon. But am I particularly opposed? No. I'm not particularly opposed to anything just because it's dangerous. If it makes you feel better to smoke a cigarette, then smoke the fucking cigarette. If you understand the health risk, then do it. If you've been deceived, then I have a problem with that. I have a problem when people are misled into doing something that is harmful to them. I believe that as long as someone's aware of the risks, it's okay. Dawn Cox asks, what are your thoughts on threesomes? Well, I don't really have any thoughts on threesomes. I don't really understand the threesomes, I guess. If I had two girls, or a guy and a girl, or I guess even two guys, I would be more interested in watching them do something than actually participating myself. I have one dick, but one. Maybe there's a psychological component about threesomes that makes some people get off, but I don't really think I have that, so it's never been particularly fascinating to me, but the idea of watching two other people is fascinating. I do have that voyeuristic urge. Jonah P. Oles, or Hughes, I don't know, asks, what's an average day in your life like? Oops, lost my lid. Which is an average day in my life? There's no average day. I mean, I get up and I look at the messiness of my house and I declare that I'm going to clean it, and then I don't. And then I get on my computer and I read news articles and I look at pornography, and I find something that pisses me off, and I make a video about it, and I put it on YouTube. I edit it for a while, and then I render it, and then I upload it to YouTube, and then I wait for it to go up, and then it does, and then I read the comments like an obsessive little girl fawning over some boy. Oh my God! Do they like it? Do they like me? And that's what I do. Sometimes I'll make dinner. Sometimes I'll go out to eat. But there's nothing exciting going on. I mean, every once in a while I'll go hang out with my friend Galen or my friend Case. I'll have conversations about stuff with people. There's nothing special, really. It's an average life for an average man. Felix Aqua Schroeter asks, do you like little girls? Not particularly. They're very shrieky, I find. Just yelling in public places for everyone to hear. And never with any good reason, just yelling, for their parents' attention. And I'm disconcerted by that. They have big eyes, too. Every once in a while you'll find kids just staring at you. So that's annoying. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're talking about with little girls. I mean, are you talking about, like, little tiny girls? Or are you talking about girls who have matured to the point where they have tits and ass? Well, ass in abundance, anyway. And, some tits. Because that's all good. Cayman Mitchell McCoy asks, if you were trapped in Silent Hill, what do you imagine would happen? I would shit my pants. There's no me going to explore the old crazy abandoned hospital. There's me losing my shit and crawling into a hole and hoping that nothing finds me and that I get to starve to death instead. That is my Silent Hill experience. There's not going to be a happy ending for me. There's not going to be a moment when I escape through my daring do. It's not happening. Okay, I'm going to cry like a little bitch. What's your favorite cheese? This is by Jean-Pierre Etienne Chapmanot. My favorite cheese is Vermont extra sharp cheddar. White extra sharp cheddar. I know that's so pedestrian. Or bourgeoisie, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but you French people like it. I'm assuming you're French, because your name is very, very French. Sean McIntyre asks, what's your views on free man on the land concept? I don't know what that is, so I have no views at this point. Daniel Schaefer asks, what are your thoughts on racial profiling in airports? Well, let me just back up, because let's not even get into racial profiling, because it's not even necessary to go that far. That shouldn't even be an ethical dilemma. My problem is with security in airports. Well, it's not even with security in airports, it's with government-mandated security in airports. I think that if you want to fly on an airline with a lot of security, because it makes you feel like you're safer than most other people, then by all fucking means, buy you a ticket for some airline that chooses to be very, very secure. But if you're like me and you think that it doesn't really matter at all, then you should be able to fly on an airline with no security whatsoever. And I know that there is some risk outside of just being on the plane. Like, people are worried that, planes are going to be hijacked and crash into buildings and all that. But, the pilot could go crazy and do that shit. That happens all the time. Well, not all the time, but it does happen. It has happened before. Pilots go crazy and they crash planes into things. They're like, my wife left me, so now all you motherfuckers are gonna die. So, it doesn't matter. You can't make a fucking airplane 100% safe. And, it's like saying that the government should be able to decide who can have a stapler, because you might use it to staple your friends in the eye. I know that's kind of a weird example because it's such a small-time thing, but, really it's the same logic there. The idea that you're not responsible enough to decide, what to do or have or use because someone might misuse it. John Cruzina, that looks like a fun name to pronounce, but I can't do it. If faced with being able to grant world peace or end Justin Bieber's career, which would you choose? And no, saying they're synonymous does not qualify as an answer. LOL. If I was being the amazing atheist right now, I would definitely go with ending Justin Bieber's career. But TJ does life, so I'm trying to be more myself. And obviously, I would choose fucking world peace, even though it would be boring as fuck. I mean, if no more war is the cost of me being kind of bored, or if me being bored is the cost of no more war, I should say, then I'm willing to pay it. Damian Kirk asks, what is your opinion of the state of Ohio? I've been to Ohio. My girlfriend is from Ohio. Jeffrey Dahmer did some of his killing in Ohio. And I mentioned him earlier, and he's a fun guy. And Marilyn Manson was born in Canton, Ohio. So there's a certain pull between me and Ohio, I think. A number of people that I've been interested in have been involved with Ohio, or born in Ohio, or lived in Ohio at some point. And I've been there, and it's a nice state. I had some really good food there. I met some really nice people there, and there's a lot of corn. And I just really can't emphasize to people who don't live in the Ohio countryside how much people in the Ohio countryside love corn. Not the band, the actual plant. Yeah, so, Kelly Denham asks, what brands of clothing do you like if you are even into fashion at all? I think you should be able to just watch my videos and know that I'm not into fashion at all. And it's not really my choice. I mean, I would probably have some inkling of a fashion sense if I weren't so fucking big, but I'm too big to choose what clothes I wear. I wear whatever clothes fit. And if you're 3XL, that's just how you have to live your life. You don't look at shirts and say, oh, this looks good. You look at shirts and say, oh, this fits. And that's how I live. That's how I have to live. Mine is a tragic, tragic fate. Surely no man should have to put up with that. Linnea Cheyenne Kozad, or Kazad, I don't know if it's a hard or soft A, says, shit, I'm tired and can't think of anything good. What do you think of teenage girls? I already know the answer to that, but I can't think of anything, and I think it's funny when you talk about them. Well, obviously teenage girls are lovely, but horrible. They're absolutely wretched in personality, their way of looking at the world, their way of speaking. Everything about them is horrible except for their amazing breasts and perfect bodies. Aside from that, though, horrible. Gregory Hans Kaiser asks, what single thing matters most to you? It's a tough question. I would say my sense that I'm myself matters most to me, and that includes a lot of things. It includes my friendships, people that I'm friends with. It includes my relationship with my girlfriend. It includes my attitudes towards my politics, my art, my comedy, my knowledge. Just the sense that when I wake up every morning, that I'm really me, that I'm not wearing a mask, that I'm not trying to fool anybody, that I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not, that I'm not trying to convince everyone that I'm some other way than the way that I actually am. Yeah. And then I think Paul Madariaga, who I think already asked a question, but But this is kind of fun because he asked the Inside the Actors studio questions, and I've always wanted to answer those. Hold on, barking dog for some reason. What is your favorite word? My favorite word, you know, it changes all the time. I'm not going to claim that I have some static favorite word, but usually words that are very vowel heavy, like illuminate or abracadabra or obsequy. Words like that I find really pretty. I don't like words with a lot of harsh consonants unless I'm being vulgar, in which case I like words that have a lot of sharp edges, like you know, even I mean, like excluding profanity, even like punch or stab, death. You know, not only do these words represent concepts that people are frightened of, but they sound frightening because they're very consonant heavy, and they kind of get stuck in the mouth for a second before you let them out. But words like soliloquy, they come out really smooth and just flow. What turns me on? I would say just strangeness. What turns me off? Normalcy. And a lot of people, when you say normalcy, it's like, what is normal? There is no normal. Well, yeah, there is a normal. You know, I hate to rain on your fucking everybody's unique parade, but there is a normal. And it's the people who watch fucking Glenn Beck and say, damn right. It's the people who, you know, you see in the mall just walking around with a glazed look in their eyes, like fucking zombies. And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know what the fuck they believe. They don't know anything about themselves. They're just props in the world. That's normal to me, and it's a big turnoff. What sound do I love? I love the sound that my ferrets make when they're fighting or excited. I also love the squeak of my markers on my whiteboard. What sound do I hate? I hate the sound of laughter when it's someone that I don't know. If someone I know is laughing, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. But if someone I don't know is laughing, and I don't know what they're laughing about, and I'm subjected to it, it does bother me. What's my favorite curse word? Probably cunt. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt? I don't really have a profession, and I really don't want to. I guess that if I wasn't doing this, I'd like to be a bum on the street, begging for change. What profession would I not like to do? Anything that requires me to be responsible. Doctor, lawyer, architect. I think I would. Going back to the last question, I think I would actually like to be a scientist if I had the memory for it. Unfortunately, I don't have much ability to retain data. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? If heaven exists, I'm not arriving at the pearly gates. I'm arriving at the flaming gates. And what I'd like to hear Satan say is, welcome home, master. Then Gino Martinez asks, what kind of music do you find interesting, and why? I find all music interesting, because I find anything that other people do interesting. What music do I actually like? On the other hand, well, that's a lot different, and that's a lot more limited. But I like Marilyn Manson, I like Johnny Cash, I like Nick Cave, I like Tom Waits, I like Bob Dylan. Yeah, so that's a big enough sample, right? Andrew Matthews says, do you listen to Lady Gaga, and if so, what is your favorite song of hers? Well, I listen to Lady Gaga on occasion. I'm not really a big fan of her music. I'm a big fan of her music videos, even if I do make fun of them. But I do like anything that's visually odd and jarring and different and really offensive to mainstream America. And I find that she makes stuff like that. I really like the song Bad Romance, though. I think the song's actually pretty good. And the lyrics, like all of her lyrics, are nothing to write home about, but they're actually fairly competent for a Lady Gaga song. Certainly better than just saying Alejandro over and over and over and over and over and over again. Who is your favorite member of the Four Horsemen of Atheism? Hitchens is probably the most like me. He's a lot braver than I am. He will go to dangerous countries and do things like get waterboarded, and I'm too much of a pussy to do that. But I think he's the most like me in that his views are constantly changing. He voted for Nader in 2000, he voted for Bush in 2004, and he voted for Obama in 2008. And I don't know how many people on this planet could make that claim. So that's an interesting guy to me. I like that he's inconsistent. Which kind of contradicts what I said earlier about my utopia. But he's not really inconsistent because he always explains why he is thinking the way he does. He always has a reason to support his changes of heart. If they are changes of heart, I think they're actually part of an ideology that's just so foreign to most people that it just seems like it's inconsistency. But I admire that. I admire that he's always thinking and always changing and always adapting. I also think that he's handled his cancer like a real sport. That said, I actually have to say Sam Harris is probably my favorite of those four guys. I think he's the smartest. I think that he comes up with the best points, the most original points, and he's the least afraid to... he's not afraid to think outside the box. And he's not afraid to take the most confrontational attitude possible. And, Hitchens is confrontational too, but I think that Harris is actually more confrontational than Hitchens, though not as vitriolic. Dawkins I like as a scientist, but I don't really give a shit about him as an atheist. I don't think that he's had anything really original to say on the subject. Although he's never underwhelmed me talking about it either. Daniel Dennett doesn't even belong in their company. Not that he's bad as an intellectual, but his book is not really designed to get people to join atheism as an ideology. It's just designed to break the taboo of studying religion as a social phenomenon. So he doesn't really belong in that company. Tom Riley asks, what is the biggest penis you've taken? I don't know. I don't measure every penis I see. Lydia Shion Kazad, once again, asks, you're against a ton of laws. Are there any laws that you are for? I'm not against laws. I'm against the concept of law. I'm against the idea that someone else can tell you how to live your life. Now, that said, I guess I understand that laws need to be in place for society to function, because that's just human nature. We need rules. But I think we should have as few as possible, as few as we could possibly do with. I think the less laws we have, the better off we are. And I don't think that laws should be designed to prohibit behaviors. I think that laws should be designed to protect victims from those behaviors. Because I don't think that anyone who is, no one who is a serial killer is going to give a fuck about the law. This is a deranged psychopath we're talking about. They don't give a fuck if you say they can kill people or not. They're going to kill people. Our laws should be more designed with protecting victims than catching or prosecuting victimizers. Not that shouldn't be part of it, but that's at least my idea about how laws should work. And it's very basic, but maybe I'll get into it more in detail at some point in the future. Cornelius Hughes. There's an L, but I don't know how to pronounce Cornelius. What are your issues with the education system? My issues with the education system is that it's a system, but it's not an education system. It is a training system. It's basically a way to train people into becoming obedient drones that do as they are told. Rote learning, compliance, obedience. Schools don't teach people how to think. They teach people what to think. That's the problem. And they insult everyone's intelligence. They insult, when you're someone who's artistically inclined and you don't do so well at math, then math classes are an insult to your intelligence. They're wasting your fucking time. If you are a mathematical genius who does not give a fuck about art, then I think they're wasting your time trying to make you care about art. It doesn't matter how many times they explain the mastery of Van Gogh to you, you're not going to fucking get it. It's just not in the cards for you. What is the best way to combat fatigue? Fuck if I know. I mean, look at me. I'm dead. And that's Lou Yeager. Or Jaeger. I don't know. Probably Yeager. Sam Laporte asked, if you were given the ability to make people shit themselves on sight, who would you use it on first and why? The first person I saw. I mean, I would never stop making people shit themselves. George Angelopoulos, I don't know. Angelopoulos, I'm going to go with. The Devil's Advocate. Have you seen the movie? If yes, did you like it? Yes, no, and why? I saw it a long time ago. I'm not sure. I don't really remember it that much. Sorry that I can't really give a better answer. I remember that I liked Al Pacino in it, but I don't remember much else. Except for, I remember the girl committing suicide, I think. That was a pretty intense scene, if I recall correctly. The only thing I really remember of that movie is the end speech, and I think that's the only thing anyone really remembers about it, so probably the rest wasn't all that great. But yeah, the end speech by Pacino was great speech. Which of your 5 senses would you give up if you had to abandon one? I would give up the sense of taste, I guess. Even though I would miss the hell out of it. But if I gave up sight, then I wouldn't be able to watch movies, which would be horrible. If I gave up my hearing, I wouldn't be able to listen to music or hear movies or have conversations with people. And, that would be pretty horrible. If I give up touch, then that, no sex, no masturbation, I'm not doing that. That's the last sense that I would allow to go. And then sight, sound, touch, smell. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if you get rid of your sense of smell, then I guess you really can't taste either, because I guess those two are connected. I've never really understood why or how, but they are. So if you gave up smell, you'd also give up taste. So I figure, let's just give up taste and keep smell. Favorite food? This is Paul again. Paul Matterin, whatever the fuck his dumbass name is. My favorite food is your mama's pussy. And yeah, that's kind of an amazing atheist answer, but I'm kind of sick of answering your dumbass questions. So, yeah. Ryan Jenkins. And I'm not talking about everyone's questions. I'm talking about yours specifically. You've asked too many, so fuck you. Ryan Jenkins. You can type a good rap, but can you rap a good rap? I can't even type a good rap, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm a tangled angel, raped from every angle, sent to slice and strangle, mutilate and mangle, all the... Yeah, no, I guess not. I got a few verses in, but I'm totally stuck now. So yeah, I don't know. That wasn't as bad as it sounded, because I'm sitting on a hardwood chair, so it had nothing to cushion it. It only had things to make it sound louder, so don't worry. I'll be fine. My pants are still clean. Cole Nichols asked, have you seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World? If not, are you planning to? I am planning to, but I have not yet. Sam Castagna? Who built the pyramids? The Egyptians. Tyler Berg asks, what do you think of the Ground Zero Mosque panic? I think it's the dumbest and most insulting and most un-American thing that I've ever seen. Well, maybe not most un-American, because really America is a country that has a long history of oppressing minorities, and Muslims are a minority in America. So I guess it doesn't surprise me, but it pisses me off that people are getting so riled up over something that is completely constitutional and is not a big deal by any stretch of even the most disgustingly overreaching imagination. Pat Condell is an absolute fucking moron, and the Tea Party protesters who are acting like this is the end of the world are absolute fucking morons, and they're un-American, and they, well, you know, I keep saying they're un-American, but they really are American, but they're not what America should be. They're scum fucks, and if they were all to die tomorrow, I would not shed a tear. Jacob Hohensey? Can you send me a bowl of cereal? No, I can't. The milk would get on the envelope and it would lose all stickiness. Linnea Kazad asks once again, do you find it amusing that so many people comment on your status when you say things such as the above? Nope, not really. Antonio Alcalanda, I don't even know. I should just give up on pronouncing people's last names. Antonio Alcantara. Hey TJ, we know you like Marilyn Manson, but I've seen you've liked some videos on YouTube from different artists like Simon and Garfunkel. So my shitty question for you is, what kind of music do you really enjoy? Greetings from Mexico. Have you ever been to Mexico, by the way? Well, I've already answered the music question, but I'll answer the Mexico question. I've been to Mexico, and it was horrible, and I had a lot of trouble getting back into the United States, and it sucked. Skylar Thomas Meyer asked why, and my answer is why not. Cosmic Zen asked, will you adopt me? And I will, sir, anytime, any place. Cole Nichols, what do you think of Stephen Colbert? Don't give a fuck. Liana Cheyenne Kazad asks, what do you think about the dance that goes to the song Karam? Okay, I don't know what that is, so no point in me answering this. Okay, I'm going to skip some of this shit. See if I can actually find any other decent questions here. Faith, penis, skydiving. No, nothing else relevant. So, I guess we're done here. I guess I should answer one more, just for the sake of giving you guys some closure. This person, Cole Nichols, gave me a list of their top 25 movies, I guess, of all time. So I guess I'll look at that and critique it. Their number one movie is Spirited Away. It's a good movie. Miyazaki is all good, but number one, really? Your number two movie is Kick-Ass? I mean, that came out this year. I mean, shouldn't you give it a little time to digest? Okay, number three is Edward Scissorhands. Oh, okay, fine. I'll respect that. Number four is Inception. And even though that did come out this year, and in fact even more recently than Kick-Ass, I'll respect that because it was an amazing movie. Your number five is Spider-Man 2. Okay, look, Spider-Man 2 was a pretty decent superhero movie, but it shouldn't be on anybody's top 10 list, let alone anyone's top 25 list. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be on anyone's top 25 list, let alone anyone's top 10 list. It shouldn't even be anyone's top 100. Well, maybe if it was like 99 or something, that'd be okay. But yeah, it doesn't belong that high on anyone's list. Number six, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Now look, Austin Powers, once again, this is a good movie. But your top 10? Seriously? Austin Powers, a stupid goofball comedy, is in your top 10 movies? I mean, come on, dude. Really? I mean, you couldn't think... I mean, there's no movie that touched you, that really moved you inside, that actually made you care about a character and really, and you know, go on a journey with them and learn something from their journey, which is what art is supposed to do. You know, I mean, Austin Powers is not, you know, it's a distraction, and it's a good distraction. It's funny, it's witty, it's interesting, but it doesn't belong in your top 10. Find something a little bit more substantive. That's all I'm saying. Number 7 is A Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a better movie. I can respect that being in a top 10. I wouldn't put it in my top 10, probably not even in my top 100, but I respect that decision. I think it does have a lot of the elements of a classic story. Number 8 is Watchmen, which, okay, fine, not really my favorite, but hey. Your number 9 is Toy Story 3. And your number 10 is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I mean, come on, most of your top 10s came out this year. You know, this is ridiculous. And this is like, you know, you have the attention span of a child. It's like you take a lick of fucking chocolate ice cream and say, this is my favorite. And then you take a lick of fucking mint chocolate chip and you're like, oh no, this is my favorite. Then you take a lick of vanilla and you're like, this is my favorite. Then you take a lick of Rocky Road, oh, this is my favorite. You know, don't be so fickle. I mean, and I mean, is there any movie on this entire list that's older than like the 80s? I mean, okay, you got Alice in Wonderland from 1951 at number 23. I mean, watch some old fucking movies. I mean, you know, there were movies that were made a long time ago that are actually pretty fucking good. I'll give you some recommendations if you want. Maybe I'll make a movie recommendation list. Maybe I'll actually make my top whatever movies of all time, if it really is gonna fucking boil down to that. Alright, well, whatever. I'm done talking, so fuck it, let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here. C'est la vie.